My name's Kathy Labriola, and I'm a nurse, a counselor, and a hypnotherapist in private practice in Berkeley, California. And because so many of my clients are navigating some form of non-monogamous relationship, I have written 3 books on that subject. The first one is called Love in Abundance. The second book is called The Jealousy Workbook. And the third book, The Polyamory Breakup Book, Causes, Prevention, and Survival. And it's the third book that we're going to talk about today. I'm going to be giving you a lot of the information from the book, and this is going to be a series of 3 short videos. In the first one, we're going to talk about the 7 most common causes that both polyamorous relationships and monogamous relationships end up breaking up. And the reason that I want to focus on that is because people who are polyamorous tend to be so focused on issues that have to do with polyamory, like all the drama they're going through around jealousy or around new partners and their partners having partners. They often forget to pay attention to the other important relationship issues, and those issues are just as likely to destroy polyamorous relationships as causes that are directly related to the non-monogamous nature of the relationship. In my experience, at least 50% of all polyamorous or non-monogamous relationships that break up, at least half of those breakups are caused by issues that really have nothing to do with polyamory. So I encourage people to pay attention to all the other relationship problems that may come up, because they are just as likely to destroy your relationship as the polyamory itself. So I'm going to just list those 7 causes now and talk briefly about each one. Number 1, sex, sexual problems and sexual incompatibilities. Number 2, different approaches to money, different values and different ideas about making money and spending money. Number 3 is what I call domestic issues, all the kinds of issues that can come up from living together, kids, housework, etc. And number 4 is incompatibilities around togetherness and separateness, how much you want to be together and spend all your time together and how much you may need some personal time and space. The 5th big issue, not surprisingly, is addictions: drugs, alcohol, sex, gambling, any kind of addiction. Number 6 is untreated mental health conditions. And the 7th is abuse and domestic violence. So I'm going to talk about each one just briefly. The first 4 of them are what I call relationship problems, because they're problems that become that are created within the context of the relationship, and usually both people play a part in those problems. The last 3, drug and alcohol addiction, untreated mental health problems, and abuse, are not relationship problems. They will destroy your relationship, but they are problems that one person brings into the relationship, and only that one person can solve them. So let's start with the 4 that are really problems that are caused and created within the context of the relationship. First, sex. Sex and sexual problems are very common causes of relationships breaking up, whether polyamorous or monogamous. In a monogamous relationship, if you want more sex than your partner, or if you want kinky or BDSM sex and your partner doesn't, or you want different kinds of sexual activities and your partner doesn't, then you're likely to break up because you're not allowed to meet those needs elsewhere. Polyamory can actually solve a lot of sexual problems, because if you have some incompatibilities sexually with your main partner at home, you are allowed to go out and have other sexual partners. The danger there is that if you have a lot more chemistry with someone else, and if you are having great sex with them, you may decide to jump ship and decide to commit to the new person, and that is usually a big mistake, because you probably have a lot of other compatibilities with your partner at home, even if the sex is not great. Let's talk about financial issues. Financial issues cause a lot of problems, a lot of people to break up. Either one person feels they're making more money than the other person, or that they're working harder than the other person, or they think one person thinks their partner is a spendthrift, spending too much money. The other person thinks that they don't really want to focus and concentrate on making money. They'd rather focus on other things in life. It's not their biggest priority. Those different values and ways of handling money and work are big causes of people breaking up. In polyamorous relationships, the financial issues often have a kind of a polyamorous twist to them, in that usually one person is already unhappy about the fact that their partner is not working that much and not making a lot of money. But then when the partner is out having sex and relationships with other people instead of working more and making money, then it becomes even more upsetting, and it sometimes causes a breakup. Or the person who is out having sex and relationships with someone else is spending their joint money on dates with that person, and that creates a problem as well. The third issue that causes breakups is what I call domestic issues. Anything that can arise from incompatibilities about living together. It can be anything from you want kids, your partner doesn't, or you both want kids, but you want to raise them in different ways. You have different approaches to child care and raising children, or it can be about housework. You know, you're a slob and your partner's a neat freak. It can be about whether you want to live in the country or live in the city. With polyamorous situations, those domestic issues often take on bigger overtones because someone wants to either bring a partner home into your home, or you're already angry that your partner's not doing housework, but then instead of being home with you, they're out on dates with someone else and you're home doing laundry and scrubbing floors. So it can create more of a problem that way, to the point where someone would decide to break up. The fourth set of problems is what I call the incompatibilities around intimacy and autonomy. It just means you might want to be that 24/7 couple and your partner wants a little more space to themselves, or they want to spend time alone or do other activities. In a polyamorous relationship, sometimes polyamory can solve that, because if you want more togetherness and intimacy, you can go out and have another partner and have some intimacy and togetherness there, and give your partner a break so they can have a few evenings alone at home and kind of recharge their batteries. However, there is that same danger that I was discussing about sex. If you're out having a great time with someone else and you feel you're more compatible with them in terms of how much closeness and intimacy you want, you may decide to end the relationship with your partner at home and commit to that other partner. And sometimes that's a great idea because you're more compatible with them. Other times you find it doesn't work out because they may still want more and more of your time and attention than you want to give them. There may be a mismatch there. I want to talk just very briefly about the other three problems. Drug and alcohol addiction, any kind of addiction, sex, gambling, etc. And that is a problem, as I mentioned, that one person brings into the relationship. The other person can't fix it or solve it. Only the person who has an addiction can get help, get counseling, go to AA, or get on some medication or whatever they need to do in order to solve that problem. The other person is helpless to solve it, and that will destroy any relationship, whether it's a polyamorous relationship or a monogamous relationship. The difference with a poly situation is often if you go out and get involved with a kind of casual or secondary partner, it may take you quite a while to recognize that they have an addiction because you're only seeing them once in a while. You're not seeing them, you're not living with them, and you're not seeing them all the time. So many people discover that the person is able to hide their addiction for quite some time in a poly situation. So you have to be more alert to the signs. The same can be true with a mental health condition. I don't mean to imply in any way that people with mental health conditions are not good relationship partners or good polyamorous partners. It's people with untreated mental health conditions that are not willing to get counseling, not willing to consider medication or other treatment in order to better manage their mental health condition. People with mental health conditions who are actively treating their condition are much better polyamorous partners, and they're even likely to be better than other people at it because they have a lot of experience with managing their emotions, managing feelings, and taking good care of themselves, so they're very likely to be better suited to this lifestyle. Last but definitely not least, it probably just goes without saying that anybody who is abusive is not going to be a good partner in a poly or monogamous relationship, but sometimes it takes a polyamorous situation to bring out a kind of abuse that someone may have been able to control. They may have been able to control their anger up to now, and sometimes just the intense feelings that come out in a polyamorous relationship can trigger an escalation. It may be that they were already verbally abusive. They may escalate to being physically abusive and use the polyamorous situation as an excuse because they can't really manage their intense feelings about it. So those are the 7 most likely suspects, as I call them, that are going to cause polyamorous relationships and monogamous relationships to break up. And it's very important to pay attention to those, even though they are not really related to the non-monogamous nature of your relationship, because they are just as likely as any polyamory related cause to destroy your relationship.